no matter what I resisted with. And the next thing I knew, I was in this vastness, this described in some literature as the outer darkness, but it was completely illuminated, but there was no light. And I had no body, but I had being, and there was no time and no space and no thing. I had no brain, I had no language, no culture, no heartbeat, but I could think better than I'd ever thought before, as if my brain was no longer in the way of my thinking. And I was in this vast emptiness that extended into infinity in every direction, and I could see in every direction all at once. And like I said, it was darkness, but it was illuminated because I could see in every direction. And in front of me was, if I had a front, was a shimmering door. And it was transparent and translucent. And inside this doorway was a tunnel. And it was immense. It was 100 yards wide and 70 yards tall. Just immense. But remember, everything I say happens in timelessness, so there's no order of events for me, and there's no language to communicate it. But I touched this thing with my being, and I felt it was living. It was like the living God was in it. And as I did that, I heard my name called from deep inside of me. And I knew instantaneously that I was in the presence of God, but not God like I'd ever conceived of before. And it was a voice, but it had no gender, and it had no sound, and it had no language, but it communicated to me directly in the depth of my being. And when my name was called, I knew that God was absolutely present to me, next to me, but I could see everything, but not God. And the voice called my name, and it was the name of my creation. It was the name given to me to make me exist. It wasn't just Peter, it was the ground of my being, as Paul Tillich said. The ground and the essence of my being. And I was infilled with beauty and love and hope and truth and life and joy, but it was all one thing. But also simultaneously to that infilling and knowing that I was in the presence of God, all of my experiences rushed up too. And all of the pain that I'd caused everyone in my entire life came with it. And God said to me, I know everything about you, and there is nothing hidden. And in that knowing that I was known, I experienced a life review of all the people that I had hurt in my life. I experienced all of the pain that I'd ever given to every single person of my entire life. I didn't look at their pain. I lived their pain. And it was the pain that I gave them intentionally and the pain that I didn't even know that I had given them. And I remember that my sister Cynthia, who had not run away, was prominent in this because Cynthia was very close to me in age and Andrea was older than me. And so Cynthia and I, we tussled a lot. And I caused her an immense amount of pain. And I describe it now as hell because it was so much suffering. I suffered so much suffering that I had given away, intentionally and unintentionally. And I judged myself as guilty and shameful. And it was everything that I'd ever done from the moment of my birth to intend and not intend to hurt. And I conceive, because I'm a Christian minister, I conceive of that as sin now. The pain that I gave to people. And meanwhile, as I was going through this experience of self-judgment, the voice was saying to me, I know you. I've always known you. You are my creature. I made you. I make you. I love you as you are. I have always loved you. I loved you into being. I love you with all the pain you caused, and I love you without it. I love all of you. And none of this is a surprise to me. I know this about you already. And because I felt shame at my actions, in comparison with the infinity of love, I judged myself guilty, and I was forgiven. Jesus talks about the kernel and the chaff and the chaff gets burned off in the fire. Sort of like that. And then all of the pain was gone. And I was left with only love and beauty and joy and truth and hope and compassion. All one thing. And I got to bring with me into heaven all of the love that I'd ever given away and all of the love that was ever given to me. And that was the